Okay, I'll call this meeting of the Summit Waller Community Association to order for Tuesday, March 1. And first item is the approval of the meeting minutes from February 1 that John sent out. Are there any corrections that people had not submitted to him? Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so Larry moved and Chris seconded that we approve the meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Gotta find where my hand shows up there. Okay. Approve unanimously. And next item is the treasurer's report that Russell sent out earlier today. And do we have a motion to approve that?
I so move to approve.
Okay, so Gabe's moved, Don second, and all in favor?
Aye.
There, the little yellow hand shows up better for me. So, passed unanimously. Okay, on to current business. Larry reported 3 hours of volunteer work at Orange Gate. So I guess between bad weather and being out of town, you didn't get over there as much, but still appreciated.
Well, plus, I'm sad to say that I did injure myself in the yoga class. I injured my back.
Oh,
So, doing a move I've done a bunch of times before, but for some reason, my 35-year-old brain overpowered my 73-year-old body. And so I've had some chiropractic adjustments. And today, actually, I was out for 2 hours picking up garbage around Orange Gate, and I'm doing fine.
Oh, good. So, first serious thing on the agenda to go over. Actually, tell you what, since Chelsea's here, depending upon the time that you have with us, why don't we go down to street lighting request, and Larry, why don't you give us an update on that?
Before you do that, I want to make sure I
Okay.
have the notes correct.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I just want to make sure before we move to for meeting minutes, Gabe motion, Don seconded.
Yes.
Did we talk about the treasurer's report?
Actually, the
Yeah.
treasurer's report's the one that Don or Gabe moved and Don seconded. The
There we are.
meeting
Okay.
minutes, Larry moved and Chris seconded.
Thank you. I put it in the wrong spot. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay.
And just some clarification on Orange Gate, a couple more details. Scott Bird just emailed me and said that he contributed 30 minutes clearing trees off of Orange Gate trails. And so that means 3.5 hours for February. And during the month of February, we did have a trailer full of trash, a car body that wasn't much more than 4 wheels of frame, and not much else that was on 80th Street. And in the exact same spot, there was another minivan that just yesterday got towed away after I reported it to the abandoned vehicle hotline, which works really great. I encourage people to use it if there's an abandoned vehicle on Pierce County right away in your neighborhood. And with that, I did get in touch with Chelsea and talk with her about our 2020 list of streetlights and also our 2021 list of streetlights. And she was going to check in on that. That was before I went to Florida. Since Chelsea is with us for our meeting, Chelsea, what do we know about these streetlight? They were originally put on hold because of budgetary constraints. So give us some information about those.
You got it. So I actually just got an update today, which is super exciting timing. So from Hugh, he said that all of the projects requested for 2020 and 2021, except the Waller Road and 48th Ave East Pole, were identified in the street lighting and traffic calming and and safety projects resolution that was adopted last summer. So that's amazing. It can take a year or more for the projects identified in the resolution to be complete. So we should be getting a status report on that. We're meeting with the traffic engineers on Thursday, so I can forward that along to the group once we have an update. And then we also noted the 2022 request for 60th Street East and 44th Ave. We're going to make sure to include that in our 2022 resolution for traffic safety. And our team is going to talk with the traffic engineers about the Waller Road 48th Ave. We know the past issue has been costs and the current state of the existing pole and the wiring, but we're going to try to revisit it and see what we can do.
All right.
Um,
So
I-
there you have it for the street.
Yeah, and I did just want to share an update from the office. I'm sure that Larry has probably communicated it with you and we sent an update out to our list, but I know that Mark was part of this community and so unfortunately passed away in February.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you could give us an update. I know that Julie, his widow, has had lots of family members drop by. That's up on 104th. So, you know, Mark lived and his family lived in our community.
Mhm.
Just a wonderful individual. For the several years that I had contact with him, and he and Rick Talbert coming to our annual membership and community meetings up at the Mid-County Community Center. He was just a delight to talk to. He had a great sense of humor. He listened well. He, you know, and you're doing a great job of following in his footsteps, Chelsea, I gotta say. So
Thank
you know,
you.
we're gonna miss Mark. You know, actually, his passing has got me teared up as much as some of my own family members that have passed away. He's just a great guy.
Mhm.
Miss him a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Larry, do you have all the service details?
I do not.
Okay, I'll email that to you as well.
Great.
Thank you. So moving on, the 2022 goals and plans. So Angela had sent out the list that we had put together along with recommended action items. And I thought we could go through those tonight and maybe do a little bit of a signing and look at some and think about how we could maybe get more members of the community outside of this board involved, you know, possibly putting some things on to our Facebook page and saying, hey, if you would like to get involved in making some positive change in our community rather than just complaining about stolen vehicles, here are some things that we would like people to get involved with. So, let's
Yes,
see.
after I sent those, so I sent those out in, after our last meeting.
Yeah.
Based on our discussion that we had, I had some action items in there and I got something back from, I got so many windows open here. Dawn had a couple of additions to that, but we can talk through those as we go through
Sure.
each one. So.
Oh, okay, so if you don't have that handy, Gabe, I've got it. I put it into a Word document, so I could certainly share it as we go through this. If I can,
You should be able to.
okay. And let's go with that, see how that works. Okay, are you looking at my document now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So first one, continue to advocate for the rural separator preservation. Looking at comprehensive plan with the update coming up, and also in the comprehensive plan, there were some line items about fleshing certain pieces out. I think that's something that Dan and I could certainly work on, along with anybody else who might want to get involved in that. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add to this as an action item? And since we have Councilmember Campbell with us, welcome.
Yes.
Do you have anything to add about, is this on the council's radar right now, or are you pretty much swamped with a lot of other more pressing items?
Hello, everyone. Hi, thank you. It's part of the mix of everything that we work in. I mean, we're
Okay.
always swamped with, 1,000 things that are incredibly urgent at this moment. But this is one of the items that is important, making sure that we're investing in the infrastructure in our community, because we can either run around chasing the hot button issue of the day, or we can work to make the systemic change, things like putting in streetlights and traffic safety helps prevent a lot of issues, so we don't spend as much time chasing issues.
Okay. And with this one, very much the fleshing out the zoning and making the rules for the rural separator a little bit stronger. Okay, so like I said, Dan and I can certainly work on that, and we could always take in more ideas. Number 2, continuing to push for additional traffic safety features in the Waller Road curve area. We've talked a few times about the flashing curve light request. And so apparently that is something where we'll need to keep following up on. And so I'm thinking that probably Jen's the one who's going to be taking most interest in that.
Of course.
If you want to be the contact point for that one, as far as paying
All right.
attention to it.
Speaking of paying attention to it,
Mhm.
there's been a lot of, for a while, maybe it was the COVID lessened traffic, I don't know, but for quite a while, maybe a year or two, I wasn't complaining about large rocks and concrete bits being thrown off the trucks, but they're starting to accumulate at the sides of the roads and in the roads again. And also because I run the 4-mile loop between my house and 36th and Vickery and 48th and 72nd. There's a couple of loops in there that make 4 miles, but I have seen more and more every week, more and more pedestrians walking Waller, doing that same, maybe not the entire, maybe they do a shortened loop, but the pedestrian traffic in that neighborhood is, every time I go out, there's various people walking their dogs in all areas that I go, and other runners. There's quite a few runners, quite a few walkers. I would just say the pedestrian traffic all along that area has increased dramatically just in the past couple months. I used to go out all the time and I would be the only one I would see. And now that's never the case. It doesn't matter what time of day I go, there is a lot of foot traffic. And so the vehicle traffic and the safety issues are evident. There's no sidewalks. There's probably never going to be sidewalks, but calming traffic on Waller because there's so many pedestrians and dogs and now deer. There's a lot of deer around. I'd say it's still important and more important even.
Okay. So moving on to number 3, the additional traffic safety features along the Vickery Avenue corridor. We talked a bit about what kind of traffic signage, lights, what could be done to draw attention to those intersections where people blow the stop sign because, well, they're on the stop sign before they realize it's even there. And then you also have some intersections, I believe it's 84th and Vickery, where there's a lot of foliage right up to the intersection itself, which makes sight lines poor. Is that something that we want to, somebody on the board wants to take on, or is that something where maybe we could recruit somebody who lives along Vickery who might be interested in that to take a lead in kind of pushing for that?
Well, I think we sent
I'll be
in that.
happy.
Oh, go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, I can continue to talk with Don Brunson, who lives at on Vickery Road at 96th and Vickery, about whether there's been an increase in traffic since the Canyon Road Speedway has been finished through our area, or at least part of it has been finished through our community. My gut feeling is I drive Vickery quite often, and it seems to me like there's less traffic now that the new section of Canyon Road's been opened up than when it was under construction. But I'll have to talk with Don to make sure that my observation is accurate or not.
Okay, so I'll just put a note here to,
Well, I know that we sent in a comment letter or a request for to Councilmember Campbell, and I think the Office of the County Engineer to at least consider or study some low-cost improvements to the corridor, but we haven't heard anything since then. And I'm trying to look back to see when we actually sent that letter, because I know it might have been after the budget was already set for last year. Do you remember, Bob, when you signed and sent that letter in?
I don't recall.
I don't see it in my email, so.
I think it was the end of last year. We'll follow up on it and see what
Okay.
the statuses are.
I know the traffic, sorry, I know the roads budget is tight, but we were kind of looking for some, if there was any lower cost improvements that could be done as more of a maintenance type action instead of a, capital project.
I know that Woodland Avenue is on the border, on our eastern border, but that's a pretty busy avenue, especially in the afternoon. In fact, it's pretty busy all day long. I don't know if the county is working with the city of Puyallup, because in some parts of the city of Puyallup go right up to Woodland now. Other parts do not, but I wonder if there's been any conversations between Pierce County and the city of Puyallup about some traffic calming strategies along Woodland Avenue from 72nd on up to I suppose 112th Street.
I've got a comment. I just, those little buttons that you run on, it's called kind of like a rumble strip on Vickery. As you approach the stop directions, there is a warning sign, stop ahead. And if those rumble strips, those little orange buttons or whatever color they want, that are epoxied to the surface, when you go over them and you hear it, it certainly wakes you up to the fact it might be an enhancement to what is already exists and be fairly cost effective.
That was one of the suggestions that we had in our letter, I believe.
Yeah, Don,
really
those are called bots dots, those little rounded things, but that's the name of them.
I really like that idea because one thing that I've noticed around the county, the city of Tacoma, Puyallup, with all the rain, we're constantly having paint issues. The paint diminishes off the roads, and that could be contributing to the problems of the stop signs not being seen if the line is also missing because it's faded with the paint. And so those would be helpful in that case.
Okay. Any more with traffic safety on Vickery? Okay, we'll move on to, well, the next one was street lighting, which we've already discussed. I think Larry and Chelsea have that well in hand. 5, continue work with the Pierce County Council and code enforcement and the neighborhood action team to resolve and eliminate nuisance properties. Do we have any right now that are concerned that anybody can think of? So I know the one that was near me was cleaned out last summer, I believe, or well before that.
It looks like the property on 96th and Waller Road by the farm. There's been activity there to clean that up. So that's a good sign.
Okay, and since we're looking at the neighborhood action watch, maybe that's something where we could ask Don to keep tabs on those kinds of things, since it's more, the purpose of their organization. And, we can do what we can to support if they need support in dealing with a particular issue.
Okay.
Let's see, 6, the annual Adopt a Road. Well, John's not here, but John seems to be pretty successful with that, and with Jen providing volunteers as well. So actually, can I put your name on that one as well, Jen?
Of course. In fact, I was meaning to send him an email because I do have a meeting with my group and we wanted to get this on the calendar.
Okay.
For the spring.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will get a hold of John and then I'll forward you what he says, unless he does it himself.
Okay. And the next one, continuing to care for Orange Gate Park. I need to get a volunteer form into county parks. If anybody wants to do that, I guess we've decided that we'll do that on an individual basis. But that's something that we can certainly encourage, is that if people want to get involved and support the park, to work on an individual basis, filling out their stewardship form, and then helping with keeping it clean. And also, I think a lot of it's just keeping eyes on the park.
Yeah.
Number 8, tracking design construction activities for the Orange Gate Master Plan and pipeline. That's something I can certainly do because that's a particular interest of mine. Anybody else interested with that one?
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I am.
I'd take a shot at it.
okay.
I think most of us are.
Okay, well, I will just put the board in general then.
Yeah.
One nice thing, and Marty, Chelsea, I do want to throw a little praise to the people who are involved with setting up the county's website. I mean, I find it pretty easy trying to find information on things, and if there's something that's ongoing, it's easy to sign up and get those email notifications when action's been taken, even just updating on the website. It's a great way to communicate with members of the community and letting people know what's going on when it happens or before it happens. Let's see. Okay, exploring options to support the Waller Road Grange. I won't be there. Is there anybody who had planned on attending their informational meeting in March? Okay.
I'll go.
Yeah,
Okay, so we got that. We can consider a representation on the Waller Road Grange board. Your president probably wouldn't be a good one for that because he's already stretched thin as either president or chair of other organizations and boards. So if we did that, we'd want to find someone else.
is
And
there
then-
anybody on our board that is interested in being on their board as well?
Mm.
I won't say no, but I'd like to know more about it before I commit.
Yeah, well, and maybe you can find out enough on the March 12th meeting, so that'd be good. And then certainly the easy one to advertise their vacancies, volunteer opportunities, what's going on with them on our Facebook page. That'd be a real easy one. And then the last item, disseminating information updates to the Waller Road residents. I do have on our agenda for later the newsletter that we need to get out. And then, well, we'll see, maybe we'll be able to hold an annual meeting this fall. I think right now it's maybe a little early. And of course, a lot of this would depend upon a facility. I'm guessing that the community center is going to still be pretty conservative in their activities, given that they have a high-risk population that they serve.
Perhaps the Waller Road Grange would host you.
And that would certainly be an opportunity for them to sell themselves as well. So promote themselves. So we could look at that. So.
Yeah, with no mask mandate in May and no indoor gathering restrictions, I don't see why we couldn't have one for those that are comfortable meeting in person.
Mm-hmm.
But if the community center is not available, then the Waller Road Grange might be an opportunity. I know that the Waller Road Grange is booked most weekends, I think through the end of the year already. Or Amara, that's a good idea,
Mhm.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Maura, yeah.
Yes, tomorrow.
Now, Gabe, have you done hybrid meetings before?
Yes, I have. They're a pain in
Okay.
the butt, but yes.
They're really pain in the butt, Bob. Don't make us do it.
Okay, well, I was thinking more, and maybe it's one where, well, yeah, I was trying to think of how we could allow people to at least be present during the meeting virtually. If there's some way that we could do that, but that's going to involve trying to set up a camera system probably. And it starts getting complicated. Okay, there's something to discuss for later for our next meeting. Gabe, do you know anything more about online payment?
It's one of those things that's kind of taken a backseat to my own personal business and commitments.
Okay.
But it's something that I got information from Russell that I'm looking to actually start working on implementing.
Okay. I'll just.
Yeah, I think that would be, if we could get that implemented on or around the time that we potentially have an annual meeting, I mean, all the people on the Facebook group that responded to the call for support for the Waller Road Grange. I mean, there was like 150 people. They're like, oh yeah, I'll join. It was only $46, and yet we can't get people to join for $20. But I think a lot of them asked, can I pay online? Can I pay online? Can I pay online? And I think that would get us more membership if we could do that. It's just that much easier for people to join.
Mhm.
So
I would
right-
agree with that. I had to buy checkbooks so I can pay my dues, which I'm late on because we don't have them. So now I have 5 checkbooks. I don't know what we're gonna do with.
They'll last you for the next 100 years.
Yeah.
So I actually have the issue where it's just PayPal, but it's PayPal only. So you have to pay through the PayPal system, not like a credit card PayPal. I ran into this
okay.
issue with the group that my networking group that for a business.
Yeah.
I've got a PayPal account for that. But in order for us to do credit card transactions, it requires a personal or business commitment for like basically it either goes on my credit or on a business or my business's credit. And of course, I'm going to absorb that risk on me or my business. So I don't know if we can do that somehow as an organization, have it fall to that. But as far as just PayPal, yeah, we can do PayPal straight. We can even set up a Venmo. There's a small fee involved with it, but there is a way to do it. I've set it up for that business networking group. It's just, it doesn't accept credit cards unless you tie your credit card to your PayPal or Venmo account.
Does anybody know which bank we work through?
Yeah, Heritage Bank.
Heritage Bank.
Okay. I wonder if we might be able to set it up just directly through them, through their processor.
Yeah, if they have a merchant account service, then that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be a
Yeah,
reasonable question.
That would be much better. So we should take a look at that. I can, have Russell check, or, I could even check myself too. Heritage Bank, right? Okay. And then creating a way to track supporting members. Another organization I'm involved with, we just have a Google spreadsheet where we have everybody's contact information in, and we put in the dues that they paid, the date, although for us that wouldn't be such a big deal. And it's something where some people can actually edit it, and then other people just view it. So that's certainly something that we could do, and they're easy to set up.
You mentioned a Google Sheet.
Uh-huh.
We do actually have a Gmail account set up that I use for the website. That could be something we could use that Gmail account for that purpose, to be able to create a sheet and manage it from there.
Okay. Hey, so we are through our 10 action items. Does anybody have anything that they want to add to what we are doing, or any other comments?
Under other comments, there was some discussion on who had a key to access the mailbox. Was there any mail in this last month's go round?
I don't know. I'll have to ask on that one.
Russell renewed the mailbox. I don't know if you checked it.
Yeah. No, not.
The
No,
two people who have, there are 2 keys. The 2 people who have the keys are Russell and Bob.
Yeah. Okay. Oop. Let's see, did that stop the share when I closed? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, back to my agenda list. Let's see.
If I may interrupt for just a moment, Mr. President. We had talked about, just a reminder about renewing our status with the Secretary of State. You were going to check in.
I
on
took
that.
care of that.
Okay, I just want everybody to know that that's been taken care of. Thank you. Thanks, Bob. Because that had to be done by March 31st.
Yeah, and here's another thing where it's nice to have government documents available online. I was able to go to the Secretary of State's website and find the old submissions so I could answer the questions correctly as I went through it all. All right, let's see. participation with Waller Road Grange. Other than what we already discussed with our action items, does anybody think we have anything else we need to discuss there? All right, new business. I'll do the second one first since it's quick. I'm not going to be here for our May or June meetings. I'll be far, far out of town, several time zones away. And Angela won't be here for the June meeting as well.
Correct.
Do we still want to hold one? Do we want to wait to see if there's any pressing business that needs to be taken care of? Any thoughts?
Anyone else willing to run the meeting while Bob and Angela are gone?
I would be willing to run the meeting, set up the agenda and run the meeting if we have business that needs to be taken care of. However, there is a possibility that I might be in Florida that first Tuesday of June as well. We are going to go to Florida in June. We're just not sure yet when that's going to be.
What about moving it to a different week?
Well, that's possible. Let's see. If we moved it a week back to the 14th. Angela, are you around then?
June 14th?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Does anybody have a conflict with that? Okay, sounds like it's something that we need a motion for.
Is there any reason that we can't wait? We got 3 months before the 4th month of June to make it a firm issue?
I guess we could wait until May. That would certainly make sense.
How about we tentatively schedule it for June 14th? Pending any new agenda items coming from the May meeting.
That's acceptable.
Okay,
I have updated the calendar already for that one event to be moved a week back. You guys will
okay.
probably all receive the calendar invite for that too, adjustment.
Thanks.
Okay, 2022 newsletter. Have a new piece of paper here. So aside from a president's address and kind of a listing, or probably better, a narrative of what we've done this past year, anything else that we would want to include?
Maybe an update on Orange Gate Park improvements, the latest update on park improvements for Orange Gate, maybe the latest update on the construction, when construction will start for the pipeline trail, perhaps.
Okay,
Maybe a short article from the Mid-County Community Center.
and
I
with
guess
Orange,
Go ahead.
with Orange Gate and Pipeline, possibly rather than our writing them, if we contacted the appropriate people within county parks who would actually have the correct information to begin with, and ask them for, say, a paragraph on what's happening, what we might want to watch for.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll ask Tiffany and Brianne to do that for us.
Okay,
Mhm.
And then it'll
maybe-
be more authoritative.
Maybe an adopt a road thing for the fall cleanup.
Yep.
Mhm.
Usually we have in our newsletter, the date of the spring cleanup in there as well. We usually have our newsletter go out in April. Is that still a consideration since we're not going to have a membership and community meeting in the first Tuesday of May? Any thoughts as to when the newsletter should go out?
Well, if we're going to do it before, and it's going to be actually released before the first cleanup for the spring, then we should absolutely include that too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, we might as well stick with the usual April kind of, or what do we usually do, like mid-April? Is that when we send them out usually?
Let's see, 2020 was in May.
Well, that was absent of a meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid COVID.
And,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and it's 8 pages, an incredible amount of empty space and space fillers.
Mm. We
Um,
improved it for 2021.
Yeah, we went down to 4 pages, didn't we?
We did.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be a lot better, and especially if we just have the half for mailing and then the other half like contact information, just some real general stuff. Let's see. We really don't need the, hey, you should join the board thing because I think we're full right now.
No,
Yeah.
but we do need, I think we could include opportunities for volunteers. So people are
Okay, yeah, that'd be
looking for.
good.
So it's a roadside litter pickup. We have a whole list of things on our website that we'd like to have help with. We could dust that off and put that up there. And not just with our organization. I mean, we could also include Waller Road Grange or school district or the council,
Yeah.
not council, like the county boards and commissions. I mean,
Yeah.
all those things we could potentially put into one short
Mhm.
article.
Might be good to do the Canyon Road improvement since now there's been significant action done on that.
Okay,
Mm.
And I think construction is supposed to start on the segment between roughly 84th Street down to 72nd. Should start later on this year.
it was supposed to start last fall.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
And-
During that co-
A small little thing decided to get in the way.
well, I think it's more budgetary than COVID because they've been working through COVID.
And I can contact Letitia to see if she could maybe give us a short article about all things Canyon Road.
Okay. And fortunately, no, actually, I guess it still has quite a ways before it gets out of the rural separator.
Mhm.
And information about how to contribute to a supporting membership with the online payment system that we come up with. So
Yes.
Yes.
I guess that would be me, right?
Uh-huh.
Yep. Hopefully our membership is young enough that they know how to use that funny internet thing to get in there and.
It's a series of tubes.
Yeah, I saw another thing the other day about the condensation of the demographic that uses Facebook anymore. It's interesting.
You're talking about boomers?
Yeah, well, boomers and even people who are pre-boomers. Yeah, because I'm just inside the cusp of that one. And if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't even bother using it. Okay, it sounds like we've got enough to fill up 4 pages meaningfully. So
Do we,
I'll work-
Bob, you said we had a recap of 2021. Do we also want to include goals for 2022? Or do you think people are burned out on seeing that in the newsletter?
I don't know
I-
if they are burned out on it, but I do know that 3.5 pages filled with all of this might not leave room for it.
It might be a 6-pager.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Okay.
say, I mean, it might have to
Mhm.
be, we could maybe put it all together and see if it is 6 pages, right?
All right.
Yeah. And
As
if
long
it
as no
is-
one minds us going to that,
No,
to,
no.
longer,
No,
because
I
it
mean, this
costs
is-
more.
yeah,
Right,
this is gonna go to VisiPrint anyway, so. He's,
Do you know what the price difference was between the 8-pager and then the 4-pager that we did last year? Was it half the price? Was it a quarter of the cost? Was it?
Ugh, I don't
Yeah, do you
remember, but
remember?
I know it was significant.
Okay,
We also printed less, didn't we?
yeah,
we did, yeah.
Why print when you can download?
Good point.
yeah.
There is still a segment of our membership, Gabe, that really and only gets the newsletter, i.e. my father is one of them.
Yes,
Mhm.
no, you absolutely have to print some, but we don't have to print a plethora.
No,
Oh, my parents are there too.
Yeah,
I hand deliver a membership form and I say, here, fill it out, and then he mails in his check. So,
okay, so if we have John write up an adopt a road announcement, Gabe will do the online membership. Hey, here's what you need to do. I've got to come up with something for a president's address. Hey, maybe we're out of it. If we can all hold together.
I can do the recap of 2021.
Okay, and then you're going to also contact folks at the county for asking them for,
Orange
Okay.
Gate and Canyon Road, yes.
okay.
Pipeline
And there's
Trail.
pipeline as well.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Okay. And then
Could we-
volunteer,
Do you think we could maybe add a in memoriam for Mark Williams?
that would be appropriate, yes.
Mm.
And yeah, somebody on here already wrote a very nice piece about, or maybe a former council member might be interested in doing that as well.
Mm. Mhm,
Somebody who worked with him for a long time.
mhm.
Do you know
Maybe
anybody like that,
Chelsea
Chelsea?
Yeah, absolutely. I can, we did put it in our newsletter, so I can pass that along as well if you wanted to include some quotes from there in it.
Okay. Could do that. Let's see. And then volunteer opportunities. Anybody want to gather those up?
I can work on that.
Okay, thank you, Larry. And do we want to send this out mid-April, end of April? What are we looking at?
My vote would be the end of April.
Okay.
And then we should probably decide at our next meeting if we want to have an in-person meeting or not, because that would be in the newsletter as well. So
Yeah,
How long do we need as far as final submission for our articles for the newsletter if we want to print it and send it on at the end of April? Based on last year, Jen.
Sorry, somebody walked in and
No.
grabbed my attention.
So I was asking how long or what's the drop dead date for submission to the printer before we can, so before we have to print.
He he works fairly quickly. He doesn't take, it's not a long turnaround.
Well, including the time that you and I both have to figure out the
Yeah,
formatting.
That's what's gonna take,
Yeah.
that's what's gonna take a while. So I wish I could say more definitively. The issue with me is I have a new laptop and it doesn't have, we used publishing last year and now I have I have publishing, but it's the free version and I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. So you and I need to talk about it off on a different time frame.
Yep.
And so that's gonna change my answer. So that's why I can't give one right now. If I had it installed and it was easy to do, that would be one thing, but I have a feeling it's gonna be a little bit trickier this time. So, I'd say beginning of April, then give me 2 weeks to work on it and then get it to the printer the last week of April. That would be my best guess at this
Yeah.
moment.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's see.
In fact, I think that's what we did last year, but because it was at the tail end of April, we stuck a May date on it.
Mhm.
I think we had it to the printer something around the 26th or 28th of April, but we knew that it wouldn't actually get mailed and in people's boxes until May. So then we put the May date on it.
So the printer actually mailed them out as well, right?
They did.
Mhm.
Do we
But if
want,
That was really nice. It was a
Yeah.
little bit more expensive, but it was a really nice thing.
yeah,
But if we do have a meeting in person, we would want to get the letters out, the newsletters out before that. We'd want to get them out a little earlier this year so people had time to consider attending in person,
Okay.
and
right?
that's something that we can add on, at the end. And could be, one side of the fold is the mailing piece, the other side could be, hey, here's the great announcement, we're having an in-person meeting again.
Mhm.
Although I will say that if it's in April, I won't be there because I'm going to really limit my public exposure so that I don't catch anything prior to a trip that I have a massive amount of money invested into.
Well, it would be the second Tuesday of May, right?
Okay, and I'd be out of town anyway.
Which is May 10th.
Okay. So if we say 3 weeks to get everything in, which should be ample time and also doesn't give us so much time that you just let it sit and then go, oh my God, I got to get this in. That'd be March 22nd. How would that be for the two of you, Gabe and Jen, as far as getting this put together? Or would you want to have a little more lead time on it?
Well, if you're getting it to us by March 22nd, and then we have a couple, 3 weeks to actually massage it into a newsletter, that's plenty
Right.
for me.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
And does that timeline cause a problem for anybody getting things in? Okay, so let's say March 22nd then for having everything submitted.
I'd just like to remind people that it's the first Tuesday in May when we usually have our membership and community meeting, and that would be May the 3rd.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, Larry.
Okay.
Sorry. First
No
Tuesday,
problem.
not the second Tuesday. Yeah.
And then we should have the newsletter out about 2 weeks prior to that.
Okay.
Mhm. Which would be April 19th-ish, the week of April 18th.
Okay. Out
Now-
by the 18th.
Yeah, because
Are
that gives
we-
people about 2 weeks notice.
All right.
Are we leaning towards having a membership and community meeting in May, or are we talking about a membership and community meeting in the fall? Because Bob mentioned at the beginning of our meeting tonight that we're maybe looking at a meeting in the fall for a membership, a general membership and community meeting.
That's something that we discussed before as an alternative. it's one of those things where I guess we can watch as far as, what happens over the next month or so if the actions taken by the governors on the Pacific coast as far as masking and removing other requirements, if that doesn't cause things to explode with another variant,
Yeah.
then I think we're good to go with May. If not, maybe we're looking at the fall.
Yeah,
Or, I think we discussed before, possibly having something outdoors in the summertime, like August.
And that may or may not be a good opportunity to work with Waller Grange
Yeah, well,
for that, because they have an outdoor meeting area, like
Yeah.
the big fire pit and barbecue area.
yep. So that's a possibility. So we'll have to, just kind of monitor what's going on as we go through putting the newsletter together and make a decision at our April meeting.
well, yeah, okay.
Okay, so that's all the agenda items. Any announcements? Anything for the good of the order?
Yeah, for the good of the order, if any of the board members helped out by picking up litter along 84th Street while I was out of town, I appreciate your help. I don't know if there's anybody else besides myself, and I think Bob mentioned that maybe individually, I'm going to probably make an application sometime this month for an individual stewardship. I think Bob mentioned that he might do that too. I don't know if there's anybody else on the board that might go along with that as well.
Okay,
So Larry, the weekend or the Friday before you left for your trip, me and the dog went for a walk in the park. So I was surprised at how clean it was. So kudos to you and anybody else who might have helped clean up the park, because I was looking for trash with the trash bag and I did not pick up a single piece. It was quite surprising.
Yeah, I've encouraged people to carry a bag with them when I encounter people at Orange Gate Park, and I think it's starting to pay off a little bit.
Yeah, we just went last Thursday or Friday night. There was one dog poop bag that someone left behind, and that was it. That's all I saw. And I did not carry it home.
Yeah, my only
Unfortunately.
encounter was 2 youth on motorcycles, and that was it. I pulled out my camera, pretended I was filming them. They took off. So
Yeah.
Oh, they're probably the same kids that were there when we were there. They're just messing around in there. They got scared off by some guy at High Point.
yeah,
okay. And Councilmember Campbell, is there anything that's gone through the council that you'd want to share with us?
Well, thank you, and thank you for being, thank you for allowing me to join. I joined about when Larry was talking about Mark's passing, and your words were well said, and he will be terribly missed by many. He was a giant among men and really loved the Summit Waller area, loved being part of it, and loved serving it. That was very clear from when I first met him and what was important to him. And so hands down, you guys were incredibly important to him. So otherwise, we're having a retreat tomorrow. Is our council retreat to kind of review, do a scorecard on how things went last year and how they're, what we're going to kind of focus on going forward. Couple key areas that we're going to be working on: homelessness and housing. Of course, it's endemic everywhere. We have problems in every corner of the county, and it has as much to do with the 100 different reasons how you end up being homeless, and the lack of affordable housing across our county. And we need to be working on both making sure that we have affordable housing, but then making sure that for those who do find themselves homeless, if there's 100 ways in, we need 101 ways out. It may be a job loss, it may be medical bills, it may be domestic violence, it may be drug addiction. We need to meet people where they're at and make sure that we're providing the supports that they need to get out of our neighborhoods and into stable housing and situations. And that's not going to be easy because, again, it's happening in every corner of the county, the state, the West Coast, really across America. Secondarily, I don't have to watch social media for too long or talk to too many people about the impacts of crime that we have in our neighborhoods. And we need to make sure that we're stepping up and doing what we can to ensure that the sheriff is setting priorities to address the issues that are impacting people in their neighborhoods where they're at. The sheriff just sent out an announcement earlier this week that they're reopening the jail in about 2 weeks. And so some of the chronic people that they've known, chronic criminals, they're going to be going after and seeing if they can work with the prosecutor to get charges filed against them and get them held accountable for their actions. And we're going to start with that and then move towards work our way kind of down the list with levels of severity, but making sure that we are beginning to really address crime and safety issues. For me, I'd like to see a lot more officers in several different areas. We did increase in the last budget officers that are for mental health services. We have 9 co-responders now embedded with our sheriff's department to address people who are having mental health issues. But we need more traffic officers. We need more community liaison officers, the CIDs, to make sure that they're out here at every one of these meetings, talking with us, listening to what the issues are when they're small in our neighborhoods and addressing them when they're nuisance activities before they're criminal activities. So we're going to be working on a lot of different fronts to look at how we're doing our policing. We need to make sure that we are funding the right priorities and that they have the right training and equipment to be doing their jobs. Third, coming out of the pandemic, economic development is going to be key. Making sure that we're looking at and supporting, a lot of our businesses have really taken it hard. We still have a fair amount of people who are on the edge with perhaps eviction or got buried in debt during the pandemic. And how do we work to create economic development so that our businesses succeed, that they get the employees that they need to do their job, and that the people who need work are able to find it that matches the skills that they have. So those are, a couple of the big priorities that we have. And we'll have 1,000 little ones, from streetlights and speed bumps and what are the little pucks in the road called again? Someone said it earlier.
Gabe, what were those?
Oh, the bots dots.
Bots dots. I'd never actually heard their name.
Yeah, the woman who invented them, her last name was Bot.
Okay, so the bot dots. I have one that's in my yard now that was in the street before the snow came. So and now it's in my yard. And we see speeding. I mean, I had a couple weeks ago a guy come flying down our road way too fast, lost control, hit 3 parked cars, flipped it, and we ended up being, giving him very basic first aid until the fire arrived because he got thrown from the vehicle. And so I was blocking traffic while my partner was holding his hand.
Wow.
It's even no matter how much we take care of things, they have a way of showing up and where we need to be prepared for all that. So sorry, went off on a little bit of a personal thing there. Some of you may not know I did move within the last year. I now am off 6th to 4th Street area, actually right near the Waller Grange. In the city of Tacoma, but near the Waller Grange. So right in that area, I'm actually going to be out of town the day they're having their meeting, but interested in helping them remain a successful part of the community. As you may know, I come from a small farm outside Omaha, Nebraska. When the house I bought here locally came with chickens. So I now racing chickens, and that's been quite an eye opener on things. Was not anticipating that. But
Okay, but don't steal my egg customers, Marty.
Yeah.
well, these girls aren't stealing anybody's eggs, customers.
Okay, because I have first dibs around here, and it sounds like you're my new neighbor.
No, we only have about 5, and I only think about 2 of them are laying eggs, and they share it every other day. So
Okay.
yeah, when we did get a little chick, so we'll see where we get there with that. But we have no intention of full on.
So Marty, is the southern boundary of Swan Creek right across the street from your new location on 64?
Not far from me.
I see.
It's within walking distance. The pipeline trail there is within walking distance of my house.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm
All right.
about a block in or so. So
Yeah, so you're aware that the north side of the street from Pipeline Trail to the Waller Road Grange, that is one of the prime dump sites for
Yep.
illegal dumping.
It's always
there's a
there.
couple little spots.
Awful.
I've raised it with my city council member about seeing if we can get some blocks out there.
It's chronic.
Yeah,
Oh, it's horrible.
because there's really, I don't see a reason why anyone has to pull over there. I see the turnouts where people pull in and dump stuff, and I don't see a logical reason why there's actually anyone pulling over. I will say in the longer range plan in the city of Tacoma, if you've seen where they've redone the road between Pacific and McKinley on 64. So next year they're extending that from McKinley to Portland. And then Portland up to the city line is phase 3. And I want to work to see if we can maybe not do the full breadth that they do, but continuing with a multi-shared sidewalk all the way up to the elementary school there, or all the way up to Waller. So
Yeah.
completing that connection. It's going to be a bit of a challenge with the
Creek crossing, yeah.
Yeah, the creek crossing. I was going to call it an overpass, not really an overpass, but not a whole lot of room on the edges of that creek. So it's going to be a challenge through there, but would like to see us connect all the way Waller into the city, and
That'd be nice.
yeah,
And
and
the
get rid of some of those
blackberry
dumping spots.
The blackberry bushes they're growing right up to the edge of the road too. There's just
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's
that's
the-
deterring the people from dumping.
Yeah, that's the best
Yeah.
dumping
You're
deterrent
right.
we have is blackberry.
okay.
So, other than any other questions or comments, I always, Chelsea really keeps me up to speed on what you guys are doing. So she's been great. I think Larry, you said it earlier that she's doing a great job, and you're absolutely right. Been here since last June, and big shoes to fill, and she's doing it. So she's doing a tremendous job. Angela.
Thank you. Question for you. I guess I'm taking the temperature on an in-person meeting. If we were to have one in May, what's your comfort level of attending in person?
I am vaxxed and boosted, and so I would be comfortable attending in person.
Okay,
So
thank you.
And this is sort of for Dawn, is informational for our council staff. About midnight, 1 o'clock, I'm hearing people racing out on Canyon, and that's down towards 72nd. Probably closer to 80th, where it gets wider, but do you hear it up? Is it going on up on your end of Canyon?
On occasion, but
Yes.
the,
The boss says yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's also on Portland.
Yeah, there's some guy, and also I tell you, Angela will vouch for this. I hear more on 104th coming off of Canyon headed west.
Racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hear it at my house, so I'm thinking it's on Portland.
No, if I don't know what the sheriff, but I have never seen weights and measures or sheriff do any stop. Everything they do is reactionary. On Canyon Road, it's going to be like the Mukilteo Speedway up in Everett.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, it's a free for all. And one thing though, I think that there's only a couple of cowboys that'll run straight stacks on their semi that are still using exhaust brakes, and it can get pretty noisy, but it has improved since signage has gone up.
And one of the issues with Canyon with the widening is it's just natural that because of the way it's been widened, you're going to have people driving faster because they feel comfortable driving at a faster speed than you do with a 2-lane road that has plants and other things encroaching. I'm not a big fan of stop sign cameras unless you have, or stoplight cameras unless you have an ample yellow. I am a fan of speed cameras. Is this something that the council's ever talked about as far as a safety thing around the county?
So speed cameras are actually in state law, so it's not something that we can individually put in. They can do them near elementary schools or near some schools. There's that program of getting them near schools during after school, before school times. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but wait, there's the one down in the Bay Street curves, which is where River Road curves, makes that sharp S curve. That is one of 2 that are allowed in the state by state law and specifically prescribed because of the number of fatalities that they had there, and the impossibility of putting an officer in there to actually enforce it. And for a dozen years, it had to be renewed every year. So that's why I know so much, because I had to go down and renew it when I was at the city council. And so they taught me why we have to keep renewing it. And we watched the accidents just drop way off. And then the ticket levels were high, and then they've dropped off because you really only got to slow down the front 2 people. After that, you're good. So it's been a big help there. But as far as if we just want to put a speed camera on Canyon, that's not allowed in state law.
But having additional enforcement patrol is legal.
Yes.
Having
I would.
any enforcement patrol would be legal.
If I had a wand, I would make sure that we had enforcement officers, but
Yeah.
our staffing levels in the sheriff's department are at a pretty critical low. And so
I understand that.
Does the,
I think Gabe had his hand up.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so yes, I actually got hit by that camera over there off River, but yeah, 42 and a 35. But
And there's a little sign that says you should only be going 25.
yeah, and my Google Maps even the bleep to let me know it was there, and I ignored it. My fault. But that's in the city of Tacoma, though, isn't it?
Correct.
So is there separate reasons to, or separate ability to get that put into a county versus city, or does it matter?
Well, it's placed prescriptively in that spot in state law. That's
Okay,
where
so
the state law reads it. It'll sit is right there, and that is technically that is the edge of the city of Tacoma.
So that wasn't done because of city of Tacoma, but that was state.
Yeah, city of Tacoma might have. I don't know how it came to be. It came to be. It was already in existence when I came on as city council.
Gotcha.
So that would have been a decade ago. We were just renewing it every year. So I don't know because that's the state highway right there. If WashDOT came in and said, hey, at that time I used to live kind of up on the crest of that hill, and I'd come home through that curve every night. And I can remember 3 or 4 yellow sheets over accident scenes. And, and this was a decade ago when traffic fatalities were at an all-time low. And since we put that in, it's, I hadn't seen it I mean, it dropped them way off.
Yeah, thank you.
Larry?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that all police jurisdictions are looking for more officers.
Yep.
I think Seattle's looking for like 400.
Yeah, I think Tacoma would like another 50 or so. We'd like another 50 or so. But there's a rigorous process that which we look through, and we're looking at hiring them too, for good reason. Bob?
And maybe the various law enforcement agencies might want to take a look at their recruitment practices and who they're going after, and possibly expand their ideas of who they might want to recruit. But what I've been thinking, oh shoot, has the county sheriff's department, do they even have the authority to have citizen volunteers who they could say, here's a speed gun, here's some training on it, you have it for a week if you want to go sit at this spot and just to track, the kinds of speeds on this road? Is that something that's even viable? Just as a measurement kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't think so. I know they
Okay.
had that in the city of Tacoma. A friend of mine was doing it. All of a sudden, police rolled up behind her because someone had reported someone sitting alongside the road with a gun. Because every car was going by, she was doing this, and someone didn't get a full view of what it was. You really kind of have to coordinate that with, policing. I can look into it, but I don't think it's anything we have at this time. We do have a couple of the carts you can park alongside the road, a couple of the trailers.
Mhm.
I think we had 3 and 1 was stolen. So
Jeez.
Do those
Or
things
I-
actually record information for, the average of
Yep.
speed? Oh, it does. Okay, good.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they'll usually, so they'll come back and that gives them a report. And we'll see a slowdown usually after those are out, things like that. I did put kind of a full court press on the 72nd Street Hill after a young man was killed there, and his parents reached out and said, "Could you do more?" And I think if you see now, there's actually speed actuated. I drove it and there were like 4 chevrons. I'm like, let's double the number of chevrons. Let's make them brighter. Let's put some more electronic signage. I mean, if you don't know you're on that road and you're coming down it, it's going to throw you for a surprise, and that's not good for anyone. So, I'm continuing to look at other opportunities, or like on Vickery where, I drove down it. Every stop sign was a little different size, and some had stop aheads and some didn't. I said, I want the largest legal stop sign we can do. I want the red stripe on it. I want a stop ahead sign. I want on all the up and down Vickery. And, the data says that it's safer. So, it's we're going to keep trying some of these low cost, because I think there's low cost engineering that we can do. At the same time, we're battling people just gone stupid. I mean, there are some people who are flying down roads in cars that are way faster than they should be driving, who don't have the skills to be operating the vehicles that they're operating. And or they're under the influence, or they're stolen, or we're seeing the number of traffic fatalities up nationwide. This is just a nationwide. People just went, I don't know. So,
Yep. Larry?
Yeah, I just had a thought about Orange Gate Park on 84th Street. That's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and there are horses crossing over from one side of the street to the other, from one trailhead to another, people crossing the street all the time. Is it possible that a council action, I guess we're talking an ordinance here again, to reduce the speed to 25 miles an hour from 50th Street to Pipeline Road, get people to slow down, because there's going to be more and more people using that park as more and more improvements are made to Pipeline trail will be a trailhead.
Would you add that to your like list of items that you're sending to us? So we can kind of
Sure.
track that, see what we can do. I think with the improvements we're making, if at the very least, if we can't physically slow it down, let's make sure that we are paying attention to that. Because
Okay.
where the pipeline trail crosses is a little bit, it's a little closer to the top of that hill than I like.
Yeah.
You know, anyone coming over that at high speed is going to be problematic. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think all the way from the peak of that, really from the peak of the hill to 50th would probably be where we want to slow down. But
Yeah.
Hey, anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
So move.
Okay. I'll say Gabe moved and Larry seconded that we adjourn. All in favor? Motion carries. See you all next month. Thank you for attending, Councilmember Campbell.
Yeah,
Certainly.
thank you
Yeah,
very
Thank you
much.
a lot.
hey,
Thank you.
Jen, if you don't mind me asking, whereabouts do you live at?
As you're heading north on Waller, a mile